Ethan had always loved his visits to Grandpa Henry's house. While the world of video games, social media, and school homework often filled his week with noise, Henry's home was a place of calm, reflection, and learning. Grandpa Henry had a garden that stretched behind the house, filled with old fruit trees, rows of vegetables, and a small pond where the goldfish swam lazily. But more than anything, it was a garden of stories, of life lessons, and memories waiting to be passed down. "Good morning, young man." Grandpa Henry called from the porch, waving his hand. His voice carried a warmth that seemed to wrap around Ethan like a cozy blanket. "Good morning, Grandpa." Ethan yelled back, hopping up the steps two at a time. He threw his backpack onto the wooden floor of the porch and gave his grandfather a quick hug. Henry chuckled, rubbing the boy's hair. "Ready for another adventure in the garden?" Ethan's eyes sparkled. "Yes, what are we doing today?" Henry smiled mysteriously. "Well, today, we're going to plant something very special. But first, I have to tell you why planting is more than just digging holes and dropping seeds." The boy tilted his head, curious. He had heard countless lessons from his grandfather before, but they always seemed to stick in ways that textbooks never could. "Life, Ethan," Henry began, "is a lot like this garden. You plant seeds every day. Some are words, some are actions, some are habits. And over time, those seeds grow into something beautiful. Or sometimes they grow into weeds if you don't take care of them." Ethan nodded slowly, trying to understand. "So, planting isn't just about vegetables?" Henry chuckled again. "Exactly. It's about everything you do. Every choice, every kind word, every moment of patience, it all counts. Just like in this garden, you have to tend to your life with care." They spent the next hour preparing the soil. Ethan dug small holes while his grandfather placed seeds carefully into each one. Apples, carrots, tomatoes, and marigolds, they were planting a little bit of everything. As they worked, Henry shared stories from his own childhood, of times he had made mistakes and how he had learned from them. "You know, Ethan," Henry said as he patted the soil over a line of seeds, "I wasn't always good at being patient. I remember when I was your age, I wanted everything to happen instantly. I planted some apple seeds once and grew impatient. I checked them every day, and when nothing appeared, I gave up. I never got those apples. But later, I learned that life doesn't work like that. You have to nurture what you start and give it time." Ethan thought about that. "So, if I start something, I have to stick with it, even if it's hard?" "Exactly," Henry said. "Even when it's tough, even when it feels like nothing is happening, that's when your patience matters the most." After the gardening, they washed up by the small pond and sat on the wooden bench nearby. Grandpa Henry pulled out a small notebook and handed it to Ethan. "This," he said, "is my life journal. I've been writing in it since I was your age. I want you to start your own, too. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just write down what you learn, what you feel, and what you dream about. One day, you'll be surprised at how much wisdom you've collected." Ethan held the notebook carefully. "Can I write about today?" "Of course," Henry said with a gentle smile. "Every day is worth remembering, especially the lessons you learn." Ethan scribbled down a few lines about planting the seeds and what his grandfather had taught him. He paused and looked up at the old man, feeling a deep sense of respect and admiration. "You know, Grandpa," Ethan said softly, "I don't think school teaches us these kinds of lessons." Henry nodded. "School teaches you facts, Ethan, but life teaches you wisdom, and wisdom. Well, that's something you carry with you forever." They spent the afternoon exploring the woods behind Henry's property. The tall trees stood like silent guardians, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. Henry pointed out different plants and animals, sharing their names, habits, and roles in nature. Every explanation seemed to carry a deeper lesson about life. "See that oak tree over there?" Henry asked, pointing to a massive tree with roots twisting into the earth. "It didn't grow big overnight. It faced storms, droughts, and harsh winters, but it kept growing. That's what you have to do too. No matter how difficult life gets, keep putting down your roots and reaching for the sky. Ethan looked at the tree thoughtfully. So, the storms make us stronger? Yes, Henry said. The storms teach you resilience, courage, and patience. They remind you that strength isn't about avoiding difficulties, it's about facing them and growing through them. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, they returned to the house. Henry went inside and came back with an old photo album. They sat on the porch swing, flipping through pages of black and white photographs. These, Henry said, his voice soft, are moments that shaped me, some happy, some sad. But each one taught me something. Life is a collection of moments, Ethan, and how you respond to each one defines who you become. Ethan traced his finger over a photo of a young Henry, smiling with a fishing rod in hand. You look really happy there. I was, Henry said. And I learned an important lesson that day. Happiness doesn't come from having everything you want. It comes from appreciating what you have and making the most of it. They flipped through more pictures, Henry, with his siblings, his parents, his friends, and eventually, a young woman with a bright smile who would become Ethan's grandmother. Ethan noticed the sparkle in his grandfather's eyes as he spoke of her. Love, Henry said quietly, is one of the most important seeds you can plant. You nurture it, care for it, and it grows into something beautiful that can last a lifetime. Ethan hugged his grandfather tightly. I hope I can plant seeds like that someday. You already are, Henry said, ruffling his hair. Every kind word you speak, every act of honesty, every time you help someone, those are seeds. Keep planting them and you'll grow a wonderful life. That evening, as dinner was prepared, Ethan helped set the table. Henry continued to share stories, and for the first time, Ethan realized how much his grandfather had experienced in his lifetime. The wisdom wasn't in big, grand events. It was in the small moments, the daily choices, the quiet lessons that shaped who Henry was. After dinner, they returned to the garden. The stars had started to twinkle in the night sky, and the world was wrapped in a calm silence. Henry handed Ethan a small lantern. Light it, Ethan. Let it shine. Ethan held the lantern carefully, and as he lifted it, he thought about everything his grandfather had taught him today. About patience, resilience, love, kindness, and the importance of nurturing both plants and people. Life is a lot like this lantern, Henry said softly. You have to take care of it, protect it from the wind, and let it shine bright. Your light can guide others, even when the world feels dark. Ethan nodded. I want to keep it shining, Grandpa. And you will, Henry said, smiling. Just remember, the most important lessons aren't always taught in classrooms. They're learned in moments like these, with people you love, in places you care for, and through the choices you make every single day. As they sat together, watching the gentle glow of the lantern, Ethan realized that today wasn't just another Saturday. It was a day that would stay with him forever, a day when he learned the value of patience, the strength of resilience, and the beauty of planting seeds for the future. Years later, when Ethan grew older and life's challenges became more complex, he often thought back to that day in the garden. He remembered his grandfather's words, the feel of the soil, the laughter, and the quiet moments of reflection. And whenever he faced a storm, a difficult choice, or a moment of doubt, he would close his eyes and hear Henry's voice. Keep planting, Ethan. Keep growing. Your life is your garden, and it's yours to tend with care. Ethan realized that the lessons his grandfather had planted in his heart were like the seeds in the garden. They had grown over time, branching into wisdom, courage, and love. And just like the garden, they would continue to grow, shaping not only his life but the lives of everyone he touched. Because life, as he had learned, wasn't just about the harvest. It was about the tending, the planting, and the care that made every moment meaningful. And as he looked at the stars that night, Ethan knew he would always be grateful for the greatest lesson of all, that the simple act of sharing time, love, and wisdom with someone you care about could change a life forever.